That operating model, which I just outlined, allows us to scale fairly quickly and pretty efficiently. It's definitely a movement that can't be stopped. We see a high demand for medical cannabis all over Europe.
Hello and welcome back to the MKK here in Munich. My name is Anna Proske and I am here with Abaton. Next to me is Mr. Schetter. He is CEO of the Cantourage Group SE. They're based in Berlin. Actually, we said it earlier, it's not a startup anymore, but founded in 2019. 2022 went onto the stock market, and in 2025 you already had a revenue of 92 million, or almost 93 million actually. Mr. Schetter, tell us a little bit more about yourself and the company, please.
First of all, thanks for having me. Pleasure being on that channel. So my name is Philip, as you mentioned, CEO of the Cantourage Group. We are a pharma company that specializes on medical cannabis. We came up with a pretty unique operating model, which we can talk about later, which basically drives also our success story. Before Cantourage, I was the CEO of Aurora Europe, which was the subsidiary of Aurora Cannabis Inc. At that point in time, I think the largest or the second largest cannabis company in the world. And I built that European platform for Aurora. Before that, I dabbled into management consulting, investment banking, but found my professional life in cannabis back in 2018. Yeah.
Okay, so 2018, that's definitely before, and also 2019 when Cantourage was founded, was definitely before it all got a big deal within Germany. Why did you already go into that sector before it actually started growing to what it is right now?
I mean, to a certain degree, it was by chance. So I grew a bit tired of doing management consulting. And then I was connected with one of the founders of the first cannabis wholesaler in Europe. Initially, the idea was for him to talk with me about the Berlin startup scene and potentially also kickstart my own business. But then we started talking, and then he basically said, I need to work for him. And then I jumped ship and joined Pedanios. That was the name of the company. And to me, at that point in time, it was totally exciting because cannabis was completely new. And there was first early signs of, in Germany, to, let's say, a certain structural change in the market back in 2019. And to me, it was about, at the end of the day, developing a company, but also shaping an industry. And Germany was by far at the forefront with regards to medical cannabis. And it was super exciting to kickstarting that movement, and not just building a company, but also shaping an industry.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you said you're based around medical cannabis. So if we look at people or the landscape of like what problems people have, there are a lot of people living with anxiety, chronic pain, sleeping problems, whatever. So would you say that those kind of people is like with these problems is like a big opportunity for you to grow, looking at the numbers, how big they actually are?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we are a pharma company. So for us, there is only medical cannabis. And looking at the patient base, so there is lots of people dealing with chronic pain, sleep disorders. But at the end of the day, cannabis helps with various indications. We're talking chronic pain, but we're also talking oncology problems, anxiety. So all those indications that are actually, at the end of the day, growing massively, especially in aging populations like in Europe. So we've also foresee in an aging society, cannabis will play a pivotal role because we're talking about not curing any illnesses, but managing symptoms of an illness. For example, chronic pain. Lucky us will potentially get pretty old. Maybe high 80s, 90s, and 100 years old.
Longevity is there.
Absolutely. And you can't cure chronic knee problems. But cannabis helps you alleviate those pain symptoms, and you can take it for a very long time with very limited or no side effects at all.
Wow.
And if you want to treat your aching knees for 20, 30 years, you're taking opioids, highly addictive, but also damages your liver, your stomach. And with cannabis, you can basically I wouldn't call it smooth sailing, but you can manage your pain effectively for a couple of decades with, as mentioned, no side effects. So very, very powerful plant and very exciting medicine that comes out of their plant and will help lots of people. It already is helping lots of people.
Yeah. Because you said addiction rate, we know for other like medical products, they're very high. What is it for cannabis, like addiction rates? How high are they? What would you say?
It's tough to say or pinpoint to an exact figure, but from our perspective, research tells us it's not higher or lower than any other prescription drug at the end of the day. So obviously, there is certain potential for addiction with any prescription drug, but cannabis falls definitely in that category, but it's not significantly higher or lower than with any other prescription drug.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know, I'd say. So you earlier said the model or how you run your company is a little bit different to the competitors out there in the landscape. Tell us a little bit more. So you don't grow it yourself. So how do you work? What makes it special?
It makes special because when we looked at the cannabis landscape, also drawing from my experience working for a big Canadian corporation, there's lots of excellent growers out there. There's lots of biomass floating around, but there is, let's say, limited supply of good or innovative cannabis products in Europe or in the European medical scene. That's due to the lack of the capabilities of growers to produce pharmaceutical goods. So they're lacking all the needed capabilities, permits, licenses, and whatnot. And for lots of growers, it's impossible to get those licenses and permits. And we came up with the idea to open up a manufacturing hub in Germany, import biomass from around the globe. And then in Germany, by now we can say in Europe, turn it into medical goods and then distribute them all over Europe. And that was a pivotal moment in the cannabis scene because we disrupted that model and makes us very successful. Because by now we have exclusive partnerships with lots of excellent growers, especially the ones in Canada. We call them the Champions League of growers, the Lot 420s, the Green Carats, the Miracle Valleys. They're working exclusively with us, and we bring in their products into a pharmacy in Germany, a pharmacy in the UK, or a pharmacy in Poland. And it's very exciting for patients because at the end of the day, with us, they're getting very innovative and exciting flower products.
Interesting. You're also driving a very interesting model when it comes to how they get paid. It's a revenue sharing model, right? Tell us a little bit more about what that means for the growers.
For the growers, it means, so again, without us, they can't access European medical markets. But we partner with them. They send us biomass, we turn it into a medical good. And once we've sold those goods and we get paid by the potential buyer, then we pay out the cultivator or the grower. So for us, we never take product risk.
Good for you.
Which is good for us. It's also very helpful with regards to our working capital.
Yeah, 100%.
But also for the growers, without us, there is no access at all. As for them, it's definitely an upside. And also with regards to that revenue share in that success case, they get from us a bit more than they would actually get if they do all that by themselves. So for them, there's also a bit more upside when they're working with us in that successful case. And as of today, maybe also pretty decent in sales and distribution. We're moving lots of volumes. So far, we haven't destroyed a single gram of cannabis. We got rid of it all.
Wow, that's impressive.
So far, it has been a success case for both parties.
Yeah, great. So now let's come back to Germany and looking at Germany. The government is proposing changes. Like now in the past, you were able to have an online appointment and also get the medical cannabis delivered to your doorstep. They want to change that a little bit. What's happening there and what do you think, what kind of impact might that have on you?
I'm not so sure any longer that they really want to change that. So back in summer last year, there was, let's say, a first draft proposal with regards to potential changes, first discussions also in the Bundestag. But so rumor has it, the discussion currently fizzled out. So there's not lots of movement going on there with regards to any changes. Looks like that the health ministry has a lot to do these days. They're currently working on a structural change, a proper reform of the German health system. Looks like cannabis is not their top priority. And that's obviously no news is good news for us, because so far we've grown very profitably in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But also worth to mention, this discussion is focusing on Germany. We are highly successful also in the UK, Poland, Austria, Switzerland. In that unlikely scenario that there will be a change at some point in the future, we're well prepared for any scenario. So I'm fairly relaxed. And as mentioned, for the time being, we don't foresee any changes happening in the foreseeable future.
Okay, amazing. So you just mentioned that the UK is also a very big market, Switzerland. So around Germany, this is where you're moving and this is where you're growing. Going towards the West, looking at the US, why is the US not a market that you try to get into and grow?
Simply put, it's impossible.
Okay.
Because it's not
Short answer.
federally legal.
Yeah.
So it can't be one of our playgrounds. We love being in Europe. Very complex, highly regulated markets, tough to navigate in those environments, which gives us a huge advantage because we know how to navigate in those complex markets. So you can't just come in and throw money at a market and be successful. You really need to put in the work and have the capabilities. And this is it's not just myself, but also the leadership team at Cantourage. We've been working together in cannabis since 2018, and it pays off dividends by now because we've learned a lot in the last almost 10 years. Now that we can use that knowledge in order to be pretty successful fairly quickly in existing and new markets.
Okay, amazing. So now let's talk numbers. In 2024, you made around 50 million on revenue. You almost doubled that to the next year. How is that possible?
Putting in the work, doing our homework. So that operating model, which I just outlined, allows us to scale fairly quickly and pretty efficiently. And the German market exploded in 2024, and that trend continued also in 2025. But also, especially Poland and the UK, we're doing quite some waves there. So all in all, that leads to a substantial growth.
That's amazing. That's also, I guess, why you call yourself Europe's leading medical cannabis platform, right? I wrote that.
Well put. Yeah.
So if someone looks at this video now, why should they have Cantourage on the top of their head?
Why not? No, medical cannabis. It's very exciting. It's definitely a movement that can't be stopped. We see a high demand for medical cannabis all over Europe. Markets are already existing, they're growing, and we are one of the dominant players in that market, and are here to further build out our dominant positioning.
Okay, when you talk about that position, what's the plan then for 2026, 2027? If investors want to know a little bit more, what of an insight can you give us?
I mean, we want to continue our trend. So it's definitely prime objective is profitable growth. We're not here to do empty revenues. Growing profitably, looking at a couple of very exciting product innovations in our pipeline for the next couple of months and years. And there are a couple of very exciting markets on the horizon, speaking about especially France and Spain, high adoption rate of cannabis. There's lots of movement with regards to legalizing medical cannabis, and we are definitely interested in entering those markets.
You're there to deliver.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Schetter. That was Mr. Schetter from Cantourage. It's definitely a company that we should watch. There's a lot happening. Thank you so much for listening.